The ACA model of reparenting actually aligns really closely in a lot of ways. There's a lot of overlap and alignment with internal family systems. So in ACA, we talk about an inner child, which are the wounded inner child. And that's usually the part that we think of as needing to have been pushed away out of our lives. So, for example, if I'm growing up in a family where my parents aren't open to maybe their own emotions fully, they're pushing away their own anger, they're pushing away their own fear, they're pushing away their own sadness. They're not going to be welcome when I, as a child, have these issues coming up and I bring it to them, right? So I learned that my parents are going to be more receptive to me, more available, more open to me, maybe more approving of me if I push away parts of myself that they have difficulty with. So if I have an angry part of myself, or if I have a sad part of myself, or a scared part of myself, we don't want to show up with that. And so if there's parts of me that I have to push away into the closet or into a basement, then we think of those as this wounded inner child. Well, IFS refers to something like that as the exile. A part of it we have to exile away from us. And these are the parts that we push away into the darkness when we do shadow work. These are the parts that we go in to rediscover and to reclaim and to work with, perhaps. But there's an alignment that between ACA's sort of wounded inner child and internal family systems exile. And then, like you mentioned, the teenager, we think of that more in the realm of protector aspects. Inner teenagers can be difficult to work with in some ways. They are like the best little boys or best little girls in the world, the hero, the performer, right? A different aspect of inner teenager might be that rebellious, or that you were saying, don't tell me what to do. And, I have my own way of thinking, and independence is important, and authenticity, right? But reactive to authority, for example. Or we also associate some of the addictive and compulsive stuff, sort of inner teenager realm of things. Well, IFS also has that concept, and it just calls it protectors. So where ACA has inner teenagers, IFS has protectors. IFS has two different types of protectors. Managerial are more proactive, sort of trying to control things and trying to head things off at the pass, make sure I'm not going to get triggered, right? Keep things in order. Whereas the firefighter type protectors are the more reactionary, right? We're starting to feel the inner child parts get activated and the wounds are coming to the surface, and we can't have that sort of exploding everywhere. So I'm going to numb it. I'm going to drug it, or I'm going to distract from it. Those are sort of the reactionary firefighter type parts of protectors. And then this idea in ACA of this inner loving parent is talked about as having a connection to something bigger than us, whatever that might be. It's an aspect of us that we want to take the lead in our life. Right? That this can be a part that can give that wounded inner child what he or she or they didn't get when they needed it, right? When we were young. And this is where the reparenting comes in. Well, IFS has this idea of what they call self, just self with a capital S, self. In IFS, though, they differentiate. They say this inner healer, the self, isn't actually a part. It's the truth of who we are. It's our consciousness. If I can get some separation from these parts, if I can unblend from these parts and access the center of who I am, from the center, I can then compassionately, and from a place of discernment and wisdom and gentleness and love and patience, I can work with each of these parts, whether it's a wounded inner child part that needs that sort of tender love, or whether it's a teenage part that needs to be understood and have some healthy structure created and some limits and some boundaries, that I access the center of who I am. I understand what that is. I understand what that feels like. And I, as much as possible, live life from that place.